Good evening. Welcome, everybody, to Hawk Talk. Jack Benedict here with Coach Paul Tortorella. We're going to talk IUP football coming off a thrilling and emotional day at East Stroudsburg on Saturday. We're coming to you live from the beautiful Hilton Garden Inn here at the C.H. Fields Craft Kitchen. We're glad to have you along. If you're in the vicinity, want to stop by, pop in, give us some questions like some of the people who are here have done, and we'll pass them along to the coach. Well, what a game it was and what a day it was on Saturday at East Stroudsburg, 38-35. Crimson Hawks with that field goal at the end, coming away with a victory. And Coach, first of all, let's allude to Coach Frank Signetti. That was something that we had learned on our way to East Stroudsburg. I don't know when you guys got the word on it. When did it all come about that you found out about the coach?
We had a morning breakfast and a walkthrough. I guess it was around 11 o'clock in the morning, and I had gotten a text, and then I saw Kurt had said put something out on Twitter. So a little bit on Thursday, we had gotten word that he wasn't doing very well, and so there before we had our pregame meal and everything, we had known about it.
How tough was it for you coaches and the players, get the message to the players, and then having to go out and play a football game?
Yeah, I think it was probably harder for, guys like myself and Smitty and Campy and John Patina and, guys that coached with him, played for him. A lot of our players, some of the older players know who he is because he used to come out to practice pretty regularly up until last year. But we got a lot of young kids that haven't, seen him around and so forth. But it was probably harder for guys on the staff, actually.
Tort, take me back to when you first came to IUP and Coach approached you. How did he do that? Were you aware of him? How aware of him were you at the time?
Yeah, I actually knew Coach Signetti because I had been friends with Kurt. Actually, we used to recruit Western PA together. He was at Temple and I was at Maryland. And I had dinner a couple times over at Frank and Marlene's house, and I got to know him pretty well. And, he'd always be calling me about transfers if we had them, both when I was at Maryland and when I was at Akron. So I knew Kurt probably more than anybody and got to know Frankie and then obviously big guy. But so when the opportunity came and he called and offered me the defensive coordinator job, he gave me a couple weeks to think about it and felt like it would probably be a good opportunity. He basically said, you'll be here 2 years and you'll go back to Division I, but that's fine. He said, I'm fine with that. And I really didn't say anything and just took the job, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, I would say 2 years.
Yeah.
Where have the years gone?
It's a long time ago. It was a long 2 years, I guess.
How did the name The Big Guy ever come about? Do you know?
Well, when I first got here, that's what everybody was calling him. Because he's tall and he's the big guy. Yeah. And, right away after about 2 weeks, he was big guy to me.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the game on Saturday with East Stroudsburg, and lo and behold, you start out and look like, wow, this is going to be a breeze. It's 20-0, and then all of a sudden things turned around. Was there any particular moment that saw the shift in that game?
Well, I think we got off to a great start on, in both phases and got up 20-0, and then we had a couple guys go down. The Lockhart thing had a couple of our guys shook up. We're a pretty young team, and we knew it was a serious injury. And then Hauser went down and Carter went down. So midway through the second quarter, Stewart didn't even make the trip. Hauser got hurt. Carter got hurt. We were down to our fourth running back. And then Lockhart's injury, we knew was pretty serious. So, I think some of the guys just we kind of maybe took for granted we were up 20. I knew for sure, I knew it wouldn't be easy. I thought they were really good offensively. I like what they did in the first game. It's really not indicative of them. They got behind, and it just, I knew that it would be a battle.
And at a fifth-year quarterback, Cirillo's.
And they've got a lot of, the running back's a fifth-year guy, and he's a good player. Their receivers are pretty good players, fairly veteran offensive line. And their defense played, a little better than I thought they would against us. I thought we, if you take the first and fourth quarter, we kind of had our way. Mm-hmm. And the second and third quarter, we just weren't very good. And they had something to do with it.
Yeah.
They did make a couple plays on both sides of the ball. They had a couple really good interceptions. I mean, we just didn't throw the ball right to them. And then they had made some plays in the pass game, at times in good coverage, and at times, when we missed and blew a coverage or got beat, they made the throw and catch. So, I think they're going to be a lot better than people think they are, to be honest with you. I think they'll score points, and they'll win some games in the East.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good as far as when in the final analysis when you look at your schedule.
Sure.
Give us an update on Derek Lockhart now. ACL?
It looks like he has an ACL. What probably will happen is hopefully he'll graduate here in December, and then hopefully come back as a grad student next year.
Medical red shirt.
And he had played, a quarter and a half with us, and he had already made a bunch of plays.
Well, he had 4 receptions already, and
a touchdown, and he I think he had a jet sweep where he gained 13 yards, and it's a tough. I feel bad for Diggy myself because he came here. He's really close with Coach Wilson, and you wouldn't even know he's a transfer. He's really close with everybody on the team, and he was here in the spring, even though he was going to school at Cal. He was at our practices. He was at the spring game. He was around a lot. Mm-hmm. So he's a great kid.
He fit right in.
Yeah, he fit right in. I mean, it's just a shame. And he did what he thought he would do in the quarter and a half that he played. He made a lot of plays, at the beginning of the game.
So it's 20-0, and then all of a sudden at halftime it's 20-14.
Right.
What was your approach at halftime?
Well, first off, we kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit on both sides of the ball, thinking that I think, we were up 20 and it was going to be easy. So, basically we had to reiterate that it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a 4-quarter game. We're on the road. It's a tough trip. You're there all day. You don't play until the night, those things factor in, and we were down a bunch of guys. We were down 2 starters on defense that didn't play, and we were down really 4 starters on offense after the injuries in the first half. So we had to have some other guys step up. J.D. Younger played running back. I think he had 10 carries. He had been a tailback for us for 3 days. Yeah. We moved him over at the beginning of the week. When Stewart got sick, J.D. was up running back in high school, so we moved him over, and on 3 days practice, he was in the game, as our running back.
Thrown into the fire.
Yes.
Yeah. Evaluate the play of Max Sexton, quarterback who threw for 360 yards, 3 touchdowns. Interceptions were they made some plays on those interceptions. And the fact is that here he is. We're talking about starters that you don't have, and you've got people coming in, next man up deal.
Sure.
So how do you feel he played overall?
I thought he played a really good game. He'd probably like to have the last interception back. He kind of underthrew Isaiah Hauser, who has been repping a good bit with the 2s during camp and preseason camp. And, when Carter and Lockhart went down, Isaiah, was up with the ones playing. He played, probably going into the game, he might have thought he was going to play a handful of plays. He ended up playing 21 plays, and he made 2 catches, 2 good, really good plays. And I think Mac just underthrew him a little bit, and the kid made a diving interception. He'd probably like to have that one back. The interception with Laney, he probably should have thrown the ball to Dwayne in the flat. Dwayne was really open.
Oh,
and
okay.
he made a great throw in the seam to Laney in between 2 guys, but then they contested the throw, knocked the ball out, and just happened to land on the guy on the ground. But we could have been in a lot better shape if we would have just taken Dwayne in the flat and just take our 10 yards and get back. And Dwayne can make people miss, too. So anytime you get the ball in his hands, you probably ought to take, you never go broke with a profit type deal. So, and he probably should have thrown it to Dwayne in the flat. So other than those 2 throws, he probably, I don't know, he was 27 for 36 maybe, something like that. I mean, a couple times guys were covered and he threw the ball away, only took 1 sack. So he played, very well, did a good job throwing outside the pocket on sprint and boot. The one touchdown was the override, going against his. Now, that was a great play on the boot where he hit Lockhart on the backside, because really all the reads on the front side, and they covered it pretty good. And he bought a little time, and Lockhart came open coming over the middle from the backside, and that's a tough throw, and he put it right on the money.
I watched the catch by Laney and the interception on the monitor, and he had it. And the defenders up in there actually took it away from him like in midair. Yes. It was a heck of a play.
Yeah, it was a good play. They contested the throw. You'd like them to, catch to the tuck, as we call it, but he really couldn't. He was pretty well covered, and Mac put it in there. And, again, like I said, he had Dwayne open on a shallow route in the flat, and he probably should have just taken that. But there's a play here, play there, but, by and large, threw for over 300 yards and was probably 70% completion rate, couple touchdowns. So, I guess he had 3 touchdown passes.
3 touchdown passes, yeah, exactly.
So it was a good start for him.
Yep. Well, we're going to be back with Coach Tortorella. We're going to talk more about the game and the win over East Stroudsburg. Shippensburg's next up. That's going to be on the road also. So the team continues to play very well on the road. 38-35 the first game. Hawk Talk. We'll be back live from the beautiful Hilton Garden Inn, and we'll return on U92.5 and U92Radio.com.
C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen and the Hilton Garden Inn is this area's best-kept secret. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, or for their post-game specials. Make your reservations for C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn at chfields.com. The Hilton Garden Inn is the preferred hotel of IUP Athletics, located next to Miller Stadium and the KCAC. The Hilton Garden Inn is Indiana's newest and best hotel. Make your reservations today at hiltongardeninn.com.
Your home is you. It says who you are. For that difference you want, you don't have to look far.
Shop now for big savings. Visit Dow's of Plumville and Dow's of Greensburg.
Come and discover the Dow's difference. Doesn't your home deserve Dow's?
Jack Benedict back with Coach Paul Tortorella. We're coming to you live from the Hilton Garden Inn and C.H. Field's Craft Kitchens. Glad to have some people in the audience here today. I have a question from one of our viewers, listeners, fans. We talked about the situation. You talked about the situation with the injuries in the tailback, J.D. Younger having to come in. Question is, will Parker Gregg, he's a true freshman for the people fans don't know, have a bigger role at the tailback spot because of injuries? You did manage to get him in. He got a touchdown.
Yeah, he's been our short yardage goal line back leading up to the in preseason. We're trying to get him more work in our regular offense. But, there's a lot to learn. Protections, not just running the ball, pass routes out of the backfield. And he's learning. He's a very bright individual. But right now, we thought that, right now he's our short yardage goal line back, and he's done a pretty good job of that. And we'll just expand his role as the season goes on.
Mm-hmm. Another question here. And we had talked about, and you had brought it up a little bit about the defense. Secondary had some problems, and the question from our listener here and our fan, what was the definitive performances? Secondary, they seem to be beating the secondary on a lot of occasions, and just particulars there when you viewed the video.
Well, we got beat twice on deep balls. We got run by. Another scenario where we got beat, we didn't run the blitz right, and we should have had a sack, and we didn't, and it gave them too much time to throw the ball. And then we had a communication error on the post for a touchdown. We didn't have anybody in the deep middle, and we were supposed to have a deep middle player. So between ineffective technique, receivers getting behind us, communication, playing straight man with a blitz that wasn't run right, you kind of add all those things up, and it's a recipe for a disaster. So, and probably the quarterback in the secondary is probably Jaheim Howard. He makes all the checks. He didn't play, but that's not an excuse. Other guys take reps, and they play, and we can't have miscommunication like we did on the one touchdown pass. So, we got to get it cleaned up, obviously, and I think we will.
You mentioned Howard. He's been in concussion protocol.
Right.
He'll be able to go?
Yes, he's full go. He's ready to go. We probably could have played him Saturday, but he didn't practice all for 2 weeks.
Right.
And we weren't going to put him in that situation. So he'll practice this week, and he'll play Saturday.
Zion Cobb had been in there. Now, he got nicked up, too.
Yeah,
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. He got a little bit of one was a cramping issue, and then he kind of got a stinger, after he made a tackle. So it wasn't anything serious, but he had to take a couple plays off, and we had to move Randy Washington over to strong safety with Jaheim out. So we repped Randy a little bit in case something did happen to Cobb. So he had about 2 series as at strong safety too, Randy Washington. So we scrambled around to try to make it the best we could without Jaheim in there. And, we just got to get better, obviously.
When the score was 28-all and they had scored 28 consecutive points, you regained the lead 35-28. I brought up about Dwayne Brown is just a fantastic player.
Yeah.
I know the comment that I saw that you had made is the fact that in all your years of coaching, he's the best practice player you've been around. I know in watching practice, he just keeps going.
Yeah, he does in practice what he does in the games, and he doesn't like to take plays off, and we're trying to get him a blow here and there, and he practices when he's injured, and he practices like it's a game, and it transfers over on Saturday. And he showed he was the best player on the field Saturday, without a doubt.
No question. We have video replay on one of the touchdowns, the 20-yard touchdown pass. Pick that up, and John can run that. He made some great catches during the day. And here's the leaping grab in the end zone. People all around, and he makes the catch. And there was one I think was even better than that when he was in triple coverage.
Right. Yeah, he made a lot of catches where the throws were, they had him covered. They had him contested. The one at the end there before we kicked the field goal, the corner was all over him. I would say probably out of his 12 catches, 6 of them were pretty good coverage on him. But it was one-on-one, and usually he's going to win those battles. But it wasn't like he was wide open most of the day. They didn't cover. They covered him well enough, but it was one-on-one.
Yeah.
And he's got great body control. He's got great ball skills. He can really jump. He uses his body to shield the defenders. He just does a lot of things you can't coach.
So
I mean, he's
how are you going to keep him at a level? I mean, he got nicked up in the game too at practice this week. He wants to go full board.
Yeah.
You need him for the game.
Yeah, well, we got to watch his practice reps. You know, he played I think 70 plays in the game out of 76, and they're high leverage situations. He's heavily involved in all those plays.
Everything.
I mean, he's running the jet sweep. He's obviously going out for passes. He had a 23-yard punt return. A play that he makes at the end of the game that probably goes unnoticed, the catch on the punt. He runs 22 yards to fair catch the punt at the end of the game to get us the ball on the plus 45-yard line. If that ball hits, it probably would have bounced 20 yards. And the crazy thing is, if he doesn't fair catch it, he probably could have ran for a touchdown because everybody ran by him because they thought the ball was punted down the field, and it was straight up in the air. It wasn't a great punt. The guy did a great job punting all game except that last one, thankfully, and he punted it straight up in the air. And Dwayne went and got it and fair caught it, and we got the ball in the plus 45. And then after we hit Hauser with a short pass, you know, the pass that got us down to the goal line was we hit Dwayne. And a thing that I've learned in coaching from other guys that I've coached with in the past is in those situations, it's players, not plays. Like, if you're going to go down and if you're going to play a close game and you're going to either win or lose it, you know, let's do it by getting the ball to our best player, or on defense taking away their best player. And I think that's kind of, you know, what Coach Wilson kind of said. Yeah, we're especially when they went one-on-one with him, we're going to get the ball to Dwayne.
We had mentioned about, and we don't like to belabor the point about injuries, but that was just a fact the other day. Hilton Ridley, who's probably your number 4 receiver when you come in when you have everybody healthy.
Right.
Now, he stepped up and gave you some big plays when you really needed it because other guys are going down.
Yeah, he's now our number 2 receiver. He had a great series where he caught the touchdown pass and then the two-point play to tie it up. So, we feel like, you know, when we had Lockhart and, you know, with Carter healthy and Dwayne and Ridley, we got 4 really, really above the line receivers, so to speak. We feel really good about them. Now, we're going to have to make up with Lockhart being out. Hopefully we get Carter back healthy. And then, like I said, Hauser came in and did a good job. Debner played a good bit. And then we've got 3 tight ends that we can get more involved too. So we'll just have to do some things a little bit differently.
Besides the secondary, let's focus on the defensive line, linebackers. What you viewed when you
well, we didn't do a very good job on our pass rush. You know, not only did we not get to them, we lost rush lanes. We did a better job in the fourth quarter. He tried to run it a couple times, and we were there. And then we stopped the run better in the fourth. You know, 4 of our last 5 series on defense were pretty good. We had an interception in one play. We forced 3 punts. 2 of them were 3-and-outs. So 4 of the last 5 times we were on the field, we played pretty good. And we played good in the first 3 series of the game. So that's one game for our defense. You know, 8 series only give up 1 touchdown. The problem was in the second and third quarter, they had 5 series and they scored 4 touchdowns. So, you know, the thing is, and it was a little bit of a problem last year that we got to get fixed, is very inconsistent on defense. Like I said, if you take the first and fourth quarter, we'll take that defense all day. We don't want anything to do with that defense that we had out there in the second and third quarter. So, you know, we're still fairly young, but that's not an excuse anymore. We got to keep focus. We got to maintain it, and we've got to, you know, consistently execute and not pick and choose when we consistently execute. And now the offense has something to do with it too. Now they made some plays, and they've got good coaches, and the quarterback's a veteran quarterback that's a big guy. And he's played there for a long time. So, and the running back's a good player. He was an all-league player for them last year. They got him involved in the pass game because they were in, and we knew they would be, they were in a ton of empty. I mean, they had 25 snaps, I think, of empty, nobody in the backfield. But he was running the ball, too. They had some designed runs out of empty with him, which made us do some things differently, especially in the fourth quarter, which helped with our front. And then, we kind of, in the fourth quarter, kind of switched our coverage and went more zone, and it probably helped us.
Greg Moore will be back this week, you said, so that's going to help the defensive line because you need some depth there. One of the viewers here, one of the fans wanted to know, what about the skills of freshman Cole Waitman? What does he bring to the team, his future? He is out of Bell Vernon, which is a great program.
Right.
Where does he fit in, or some of the other younger guys?
Well, right now he's on a bunch of the special teams, and he'll probably play a little defensive end this week for us. He's moved up on the depth chart a little bit. I thought he would play on defense a couple series this Saturday night, but kind of the way the game transpired, we didn't play him on defense, but he was on a bunch of the special teams, and he's a good defense. He'll be a really good defensive end in this program. True freshman. We started a true freshman at corner, Frazier, and he did a pretty good job. Waitman's another guy that will play some snaps for us on defense as a true freshman, as well as the special teams. So those guys will get better the more reps they get. They've only been here for a month.
Exactly.
Those two guys. But those are the two true freshmen that I see playing for us defensively are Frazier, and he started the opener, and Waitman.
Okay. All right, we're going to be back. We have about another half hour to go. Hawk Talk every Monday night, 6 to 7 o'clock. We're here at the beautiful Hilton Garden Inn and at the C.H. Crafts Kitchen, and we hope that you'll join us each and every week. Coach Paul Tortorella. Next week we're going to have a special guest. We'll see who he's going to bring along. Don't forget the game Saturday at Shippensburg is a 1 o'clock kickoff, and we'll have all that coverage for you. We're going to be back with more of Hawk Talk with Coach Paul Tortorella after we take a timeout, coming your way on U92Radio.com and Renda Digital TV.
At IRMC, we have all of the necessary pieces in place to perform complex operations, including highly skilled and specially trained surgeons, their support team of experts, and advanced technology like the Da Vinci robotic surgical system. As a result, patients spend less time in the hospital, recover faster, and get treated close to home. So there's no reason to puzzle over where you should get your surgical care. The answer is right here at IRMC.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
The Hilton Garden Inn and our live Hawk Talk show. Jack Benedict here with Coach Paul Tortorella. 38-35 over East Stroudsburg. Game 1, Shippensburg coming up. We'll talk about them in just a little bit. Let me go to penalties. 12 penalties, 85 yards. I think they had 10 and a lot of false starts. What about when you were reviewing the film there?
Yeah, we had 6 false starts offensively, which that can't happen. The other team has nothing to do with it. They're dead ball fouls, snap count violations, and they add up. I mean, we had 6 of them. That's 30 yards. That's 3 first downs right there. We overcame a couple of them on the drive where we tied it, and then we actually overcame one on the 2-point play. They had to move it back. So, we can't. We're not going to win a lot of games with 6 procedure penalties, that's for sure.
Yep.
There are going to be some penalties throughout the game. We had a couple pass interferences. They had a couple pass interferences. I just watched Shippensburg and Seton Hill play on video, and there were 1 million pass interference penalties on both sides of the ball. I mean, that's just kind of the fact of the matter now in football nowadays.
Are the officials overreacting or what?
I think they do a little bit. It's tough to cover guys, and then when you cover them and you get called for pass interference, it makes it even harder. But both they call it the same both ways, so that's no. It's not like they're calling it for one team and not the other team.
Right.
I thought. Up front on defense, we did a good job because they were using a different snap count. We didn't jump off sides. So I thought that was a good thing, in regards to not getting penalties. But we got to fix the offensive procedure penalties for sure.
Whether it be high school, college, or pro this weekend, where special teams played a big part.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So here you are talking about freshmen on this IUP team.
Right.
And we've got a freshman kicker, and we got a first-year long snapper. Now, Diebner he's the first-year holder.
Right.
Really.
He's a new holder for us, sure.
Talk about how they've progressed, and also the fact is in the past month when you've practiced, there's been a lot of competition.
Yeah. Well, Andrassi's won the job. He didn't kick great in pregame warm-up, but sometimes that happens. They don't kick great. I've been around guys, they don't kick great in pregame warm-up, and they kick good in the game, and vice versa. They kick great in pregame warm-up, and then they get in the game, and they don't kick as good. So, I just think he was trying to aim the ball in there instead of just kicking it. His first extra point, he missed it, and he just pushed it. And his second extra point, he made it, but he didn't kick it very good. Now, from that point on, his extra points were, well kicked. I mean, it's easy to make an extra point, but there's a good make and a bad make. Like his second make wasn't that good. I mean, he made it, but it wasn't kicked very well. The other extra points he kicked them very well. So I was confident, especially when we got the ball down inside the 10-yard line, that he would be able to make the winning field goal kick. And we got the ball in the middle of the field, which is what we wanted to do. So he just got to let it go. I mean, he's trying to be too particular. It's like I told him, after he missed the extra point, it's like a baseball pitcher aiming his pitches. He never can throw the ball over the plate. He's trying so hard just to aim it and not throw it hard, and he can't throw it over the plate. Just, and kicking's kind of the same way. It's kind of like a golf swing. He's babying it. He go kick it. You're the kicker. And he did that, and so hopefully, there's more to come from him, obviously.
Yeah, and he was highly recruited. I know some of the reports I saw, some Division I's were after him. Yeah, out of York Catholic.
Yeah, and he's obviously our punter, and he's got a really good leg for that. He probably could be our kickoff guy, but it's hard. It's really tough to do all three. So we have Nick Morrison kicking off for us, and he's doing a pretty good job so far. So, we're expecting big things from Andrassi. I know, he is a true freshman, but he's got a lot of talent.
Let's go to the winning kick here. John's put this together, and this is the one that won it all. There it is. 38-35.
But it was a great snap, great hold. Knock on wood, those two have been great. Both our freshman snapper and our holder have been really good. That hasn't been an issue. So we feel like we've got the place kicker situation under control, and we'll see where we go from here.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you lost an all-conference punter, so replacing there. The long snapper, Ryan Legier, you lost him. You had to replace everybody there. Well, that celebration's nice, It's nice at the end of the year, but it's nice at the beginning of the year because of things to come.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah, looking at it that way. You said you took a look at Shippensburg against Seton Hill. They beat Seton Hill. They had lost the previous week to West Virginia State. I don't know what West Virginia State's like in football. I've known in basketball, but
they're very formidable. It was a close game. About 5 minutes to go in the game. Ship's down inside the 20, and they're down 10-6. Throw a ball in the end zone. It's like 50-50 ball. It looks like the guy's going to catch it, and he gets it knocked out. of his hands, and then they go for it. They don't make it. West Virginia State scores a couple late touchdowns, but that game, Shippensburg's driving with about 6 minutes to go in the game to go take the lead. And then Saturday against Seton Hill, they just were very, they had short fields. They created a lot of turnovers. They had three great. They ran their kickoff return guys averaging like 45 yards a return.
I think it's like 57.
Yeah. So I mean, he's run 2 back for touchdowns. So that's been a big part of their field position, and they've created a lot of turnovers. Against Seton Hill, they had the ball 5 times on the other teams on the other side of the 50-yard line, starting drives, and it was coming from takeaways with their defense, interceptions, fumbles, things of that sort. So they were very opportunistic, and they played a really good defensive game. And then offensively, they hit a couple big plays with the kick returner, number 87. I can't think of his name offhand.
Red Douglas.
Yeah, that's it. Red Douglas. I was getting ready to call him Redden, but yeah. Red Douglas. He's a new player for him. I think he's a transfer from Worcester University. He's got great speed.
Well, he had a 100-yarder.
Yeah, he can run.
Yeah,
he can run.
Well, that's something that certainly you're going to be, the special teams. The quarterbacks, they've had 2 guys that they've been using. Joey McCracken, who transferred from Maine. Sam Johnson III, he's a bigger guy. Got him at 6'4", 215. He's transferred from BC.
Right.
If I remember, and I don't know, you can believe the message board, back when in the offseason, wasn't IUP interested in McCracken?
Oh, yeah. He visited our place twice. He visited out of high school.
Okay.
And he decided he wanted to go to Maine. And then after the semester at Maine, right away he called us. And he visited again after the fall season this past fall, and decided he wanted to go a little closer to home. Shippensburg's a little closer to home for him. And he knew that we were recruiting another transfer quarterback. We were, so he transferred there for spring practice last year, and was playing well in the first half against Seton Hill, and then he got hurt. Not quite sure, it didn't look good. It looked like a knee, and he had hurt his knee in high school and missed a good portion of his high school career with a knee injury. So I don't know where that is. The Johnson kid played the first game, and then he came in and obviously played the second half on Saturday. So, if I go by what I've seen, I would think the Johnson will probably play. It did not look like McCracken's injury was a minor injury, but we'll find out when we get there Saturday.
Well, I know talking with their sports information director today, he wasn't sure. He wasn't definite on McCracken's status for it, but
right.
he just like you thought, this might be serious.
Right.
So we'll wait and see during the course of the week. What is the main thing going in against Shippensburg? You've had a great road record. I think you're like 20-2 in the last 22 games. Here's a team that a couple of years ago came in here and beat IUP.
Right.
And that's for the players that are still around. I know you got a lot of new players. That's got to stick in their craw a little bit.
Well, we played them the following year and beat them there at the end of the year, which was a big win for us going into the playoffs. We had to win that game to get in.
Yeah.
We probably, to be honest, out of all of our road wins, that was probably as good a road win as we had. We went in there and took care of business pretty good. We were up, I think, 27-10 at halftime, and then kind of put it away in the second half. But we played a really good game. They had some talent on that team. Messina was the quarterback. They had a lot of good skill players. They had still a lot of kids back that played the year before. So that was a really good team, and now we're back around to playing them in the crossover. They always play well at home. They get good crowds. It's a nice stadium. It's a great atmosphere. We've done well there, but that doesn't really mean anything this Saturday. So we'll go in there and expect them to play their best game of the year, and they always play really well at home. And it is a really, I enjoy playing there. It's a good atmosphere. It's a nice stadium. I kind of like playing there.
They had, I think I saw the attendance like 3,800 last week.
Yeah, they'll draw well.
Yeah.
I think it's family day. They'll have a big crowd for us, and teams get up to play us, and that's just the fact of the matter. And you got to respond and be able to play your best game, especially on the road.
Was it surprising to you that Messina did not come back? He had a year to go, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he graduated, and he had been at Lafayette, and then so I mean, he had been in college, I believe, for 5 years.
Okay.
And
that answers it.
I don't know, but if you're not interested in getting a graduate, going to grad school, maybe he had just had enough. I mean, he had a great career there. He's another guy we tried to get when he transferred from Lafayette. And we, didn't have a lot of success. He was kind of pretty set on going to Ship. So, he had the ability to come back, but I think they knew last year was going to be his last year.
They weren't going to have him.
And they've recruited some transfers, and right now they got 2 transfers in the mix with Johnson and McCracken.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you take a look at this week in practice now, you did practice light today, you said, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got, coming up, that's not a long trip. You would go Saturday morning?
No, we'll leave. We'll go Friday
night.
We go the night before the Ship.
Because of a 1 o'clock game?
Yeah, it's a 1 o'clock game. It's 3 hours in a bus.
That's true. Bus
and then, as you know, they've got the new hotel. You can see the stadium from the hotel.
It's a great place.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of what we dealt with this past weekend. Between having to stay 45 minutes from East Stroudsburg, playing at night, and then the locker room 16 miles away from the field. But it is what it is.
Somebody brought it up when we were leaving the stadium and said, one of our guys in the group said, this is a great place at East Stroudsburg to play, the facility and this and that. But even for the football teams, for the band, you've got to go walk and walk and walk to get to it. And
they do.
That's what I mean, both teams.
East Stroudsburg's locker room now used to be the visiting locker room, and they've redone it and they've made it really nice. But it's right in the same building as the visit, so they have the long walk too.
Yes.
I mean, so it's not like they just make the visitors walk. I mean, it's just a long walk for both teams. You got to figure out your time, in pregame warm-up. You only get so much time at halftime, and you got to factor in you got a 5 or 6 minute walk to get to the field, so you can't meet as long in the locker room, and just a lot of little things that you can't let, bother you, but it is a little bit of a distraction.
Yeah. We're not griping here. We're from the standpoint, but there are a lot of things that go behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just like you have to have you can't be in the locker room forever at halftime. You got to be out there to play on time for the second half. So you lose probably 5 minutes of time where you'd be going over things. But again, it's the same for both teams.
Right.
They have the same issue too.
You know what I thought was really good, and credit the East Stroudsburg people with it, is the fact that they had the moment of silence for Coach Signetti.
They came to me before the game and mentioned to me that they were going to do that, and I thought that was a class act.
Not only that, but when the announcement was made, I mean, everything was silent.
Yeah.
It was absolutely silent.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were people there that maybe didn't know who he was.
Right.
Of course, the football people, everybody would know. I just thought it was a class thing to do on their part. Yeah. Okay, we're going to be back with Coach Tortorella. We have another segment to go for Hawk Talk. We're coming to you live from the beautiful Hilton Garden Inn here in Indiana, and we'll return with more IUP Crimson Hawk Talk in just a moment. Coming your way on U92.5, also on Renda Digital TV. Be right back.
C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn is this area's best-kept secret. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, or for their post-game specials. Make your reservations for C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn at chfields.com. The Hilton Garden Inn is the preferred hotel of IUP Athletics. Located next to Miller Stadium and the KCAC, the Hilton Garden Inn is Indiana's newest and best hotel. Make your reservations today at HiltonGardenInn.com.
Your home is you. It says who you are. For that difference you want, you don't have to look far.
Shop now for big savings. Visit Dolls of Plumville and Dolls of Greensburg.
Come and discover the Dobbs difference. Doesn't your home deserve Dobbs?
Welcome back, everybody, to Hawk Talk. Jack Benedict with Coach Paul Tortorella. IUP with a record of 1-0, going against Shippensburg this week with a record of 1-1. 1 o'clock kickoff at Seth Grove Stadium. Coach, you and I have talked about backup players, next man up, that sort of thing, because of injuries. It's a long season. You only played one game. So you're bringing Max Sexton as your quarterback. In the practices of the past month, it's been pretty good battle for 2 and 3.
Right.
We've seen what the Steelers have been going through.
Sure.
So talk a little bit about the backup quarterbacks here in case you need them. Hopefully, you never know.
Well, Logan Horn's the backup. He's a fifth semester sophomore. Been in the program, knows the offense, good game manager. And then we've got a true freshman in Nico Marchitelli, who's got a lot of talent, a lot of physical skills, a big guy, physical skills, a bigger guy, probably a stronger arm, but doesn't quite have the experience yet that Logan has. And Logan's done a good job in practice with running the number 2 offense, because a lot of the times the 2 offense goes against the 1 defense in practice a decent amount. So when he's in there, he's with the 2 offense, but he's going against our 1 defense a good bit at a time. So that's making him better. And then he'll take some reps with our 1s when we go to the scout team. So, hopefully, Max stays healthy, but, Logan's the 2, and he'll have to do it if he's in there.
Well, we see it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. I think Pitt lost their starter the other day. Somebody told me he broke his collarbone. I don't know if that's true. And they had a little bit of a quarterback derby, whatnot.
Right.
So, it's unfortunate, but, Shippensburg may have lost one of their 2 quarterbacks, too, on Saturday against Seton Hill. So, I mean, it's a position that, you can only play with one of them. You can play with a lot of running backs. You can play with a lot of tight ends. You can play with a lot of wideouts. You play with a lot of defensive linemen. You can only play with one quarterback on the field at a time. So if that guy goes down, it's next man up. Next man up, yeah.
Would you be are you satisfied with the combination of run and pass this past week?
Yeah, I think we got away from the run a little bit when we had all those injuries at running back.
Well,
we started off giving the ball to Hauser, and he was, we were running the ball pretty good there. And then Carter had an 18-yard run out of the backfield. And then he went down. Stewart didn't make the trip. So it's not hard to figure out. 1, 2, 3 are out. Now you got to put 4 in there, and it was a true freshman that's only been with us for a week, J.D. Younger, and he did a pretty good job. He missed maybe 2 cuts, 2 reads that would have helped, but that's understandable. And then we had Woody in there. He's a little bit better in pass protection right now because he's been a running back for a long time. And then we had Parker Gregg in there down on the goal line. So, I mean, we literally, Stewart was hurt. We started with Hauser. We had Carter. We played Younger. We played Woody. And we put Gregg in down on the goal line.
And you have
Sirianni.
Vince Sirianni.
That's ready to play, too. So we, without taking de jour, we played 5 running backs on Saturday.
In game number 1.
Yeah.
That's truly amazing.
Luckily, we had the depth, and we moved Younger, when we moved them.
With the Shippensburg game coming up, what do they do best, do you think?
Well, the first thing, they're very well coached. They play really hard on special teams. They always have. Mark does a great job with special teams. They play very hard. They're tough. They don't make a lot. They make you beat them. You know, they're very opportunistic. Don't turn it over a lot. Create turnovers. Offensively, they take what the defense gives you. They're very sound. It's not like you're going to go in there and trick them and, you know, get a tactical advantage on them. They do what they do, and they do it well. I'm sure they'll have some wrinkles on both sides of the ball. I mean, East Stroudsburg had more you couldn't wear 6 shirts you'd have 6 wrinkled shirts if you took all the wrinkles that they had in for us. They played a 3-down scheme on defense, which they hadn't done. They were in a ton of empty, which we were expecting. Their run game was totally different than what they did the first 2 games. So they threw us a bunch of curveballs. And, you know, starting off, you know, they probably were doing some of the things they haven't really done a lot, so they weren't real effective. And then once they started doing it more in the game, they got effective. And then later in the game, we got used to what they were doing and made some changes, and then we kind of took advantage of it. But they threw everything at us but the kitchen sink in regards to what they showed the first 2 games was nowhere near what they did on both sides of the ball.
So you expect Shippensburg to be more conventional and not as gimmickry?
Yeah.
But you never know, do you?
You never know, but they got young quarterbacks.
True.
You know,
yeah.
With
Seton Hill?
No, with East Stroudsburg,
okay.
They're playing a fifth year. Matter of fact, he might even been a 6th-year senior. But with COVID, you know, he's been there, done that. They could do a lot with him. You know, they had a quarterback run game, which they didn't do a lot of in the first 2 games. They did it out of empty, okay? You know, usually in empty, they're going to throw the ball. They had a quarterback run game out of empty with him. They had a couple gimmick plays, trick plays, that we actually defended well, the 2 trick plays they ran. The one we got the interception on. So, you know, they did a lot of different things on offense to their credit, and then they changed up on defense. They went to a 3-down scheme. They changed some things up there. They pressed and challenged our receivers. A couple times I thought, you know, they got away with pass interference on Dwayne on a couple deep balls, but that, you know, that's just all part of the, you know, the game. But they did a lot of things that they hadn't shown on film in their first 2 games.
Now, going back in the first game to your defense, was it in the program you were blitzing more?
Yeah, we going into the season, we wanted to be we wanted to pressure a little more. We probably needed to back off it with you know, Howard being out and, you know, true freshman field corner, although he held up pretty good. You know, Taylor's a boundary corner. He's never played for us before. He's played at Cal. So technically we were playing with 3 new starters in the secondary with Frazier at the corner, Cobb, and Taylor. They, you know, Cobb and Frazier's a true freshman. Cobb's really never started a game for us. He started because Howard was hurt. And Taylor's a new player from Cal, and he's very formidable, but you know, it's the first game, you know, in this defense, and takes a while. Like you know, Malachi, the best example I give is Malachi Newell last year. Like, he played at Youngstown State, so he played FCS football. He came to us, and the second half of the year compared to the first half of the year is like night and day. I mean, he ended up being an all-conference player, and it was because of his last 5 games.
Watching him, you could see that
and the
happen.
same thing with Kelly last year. You know, Kelly was a new player for us, and he was a much better player in the second half of the year than he was in the first half of the year.
Well, he got dinged up a little bit.
Yeah, he got dinged up a little bit, and we had to bring in Holmes, who's never played for us. You know, he's a junior, but he's never played for us because he's a transfer from Wesley, and he got hurt last year. And he played 5 or 6 plays and did a decent job when he was in there. And then we had Greg Moore, obviously a starting inside down guy that didn't play, so we had to put Mayer inside, and he's not really an inside guy. So there were some things that we had to do to fit the puzzle, but everybody has injuries. That's just what it is.
Seems to be more than ever.
Sure.
It really does. The guy who led you in tackle was Drew D'Annunzio.
Biss, yes.
He had double figures. He had 10 tackles. I think he had 1.5 tackles for loss.
Right.
You and I have talked about him before. I know from the first day I saw him, I thought, this is an old-time ball player.
Right.
Kind of players that you really love
Right.
to have, especially on your defensive side.
Yeah, he's a throwback. Very smart, plays hard, physical, helps us get lined up. He had 2 hits on the quarterback on blitzes. They weren't sacks, but he affected throws. The last third down, he actually tipped the ball when the quarterback scrambled and tried to throw it. They got a holding call on him, but, we didn't take it. It just seems like whenever holding gets called, it's not a good play, and we don't have to take the penalty. I'd like them to throw the flag when they hit us with a 40-yard pass every once in a while. But he tipped that ball that we almost intercepted. Fazell almost intercepted it. The ball got knocked around, and Biss changed the trajectory of the throw. So he was heavily involved. He did a couple really good things in pass coverage in regards to covering a running back on wheel routes. Took away a drive route that if he doesn't take it away, it's going to be a problem, and he did exactly what he was coached to do. So he was our player of the game on defense. Dwayne was our player of the game on offense, and obviously Andracey with the winning field goal. But Dwayne could have been a special teams player. He had a 23-yard punt return. He had a great fair catch at the end of the game that got us the ball in the plus 45. He had a kickoff return. Taylor had a couple good kickoff returns. So the kicking game was a positive for us.
You mentioned with Dwayne Brown, the deflected pass that he caught over the middle, the concentration on that. I mean, the defender deflected. You think the ball's going to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Ended up right in Dwayne's
He's
hand.
got great ball skills.
Yeah.
And that's just part of his deal. The next part is what he does when he does get the ball in his hands. He's very good yardage after the catch. Really him, Lockhart, and Carter, all three of them are really good after they catch the ball. To the point where we moved Carter a little bit to running back when we got thin at running back. And believe me, the next guy we'd have moved to running back is Lockhart if we had to. Because he's a strong runner when he gets the ball in his hands. He took a jet sweep. He gained 13 yards. He probably gained 9 yards after the first hit.
Yeah.
He just keeps the pile going. So, we just first game jitters, 4 new coaches. That's not an excuse. We just have 4. You got to learn how to work together.
It's factual.
Thought Larry called a great game. I thought defensively, we had some busts out there, but by and large, I thought the game plan was appropriate. We started off really well and we finished well, but in between there in the middle, we didn't play very good on defense.
Well, you've had a lot of success against Shippensburg. Every game is a new game, a new year, and all that sort of thing that we talk about, but it'll be a great atmosphere. And if you can get some of these guys back, if not, you're going to have the, as you said, the step-up players got to get in there and do their best.
Yeah, that's what we had Saturday at running back and wide out. At those 2 positions, we had guys step up and help us win.
I think the freshmen are going to grow up in a hurry.
Well, they're growing up. Some of them are growing up, on special teams, and now as the season progresses, they'll play more on offense and defense, and then. Hauser's a freshman. He went in there and played 20-some plays on offense at wide receiver. Younger's a true freshman. He carried the ball 10 or 11 times on Saturday, and a week ago he wasn't even on offense. He was a defensive back for us.
Yeah.
So, that's just all that's I tell the assistants that's why you got coach in front of your name. Like, we got to get them ready.
Yeah.
They're not going to cancel the game or stop in the middle of the game and say, well, you got a couple guys injured. Well, come back in a week when you're healthy. So, don't control what you can control and do the best you can to try. Yeah. At the end of the day, the number one thing is to win the game. You don't get any more wins.
Didn't Herm Edwards say that?
Well, the thing is, style points and all that it's one win. You know, if you play great and you beat a team by 4 touchdowns, it's still just one win.
Exactly. Good luck against Ship.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Paul Tortorella, Hawk Talk. Glad to be with you again another week. We'll be back next Monday night at 6 o'clock, and join us on U92.5, and we'll be with you at 12:30, kickoff 1 o'clock on U92radio.com on Saturday. For the coach, Jack Benedict, have a Major League night.
At IRMC, we have all of the necessary pieces in place to perform complex operations, including highly skilled and specially trained surgeons, their support team of experts, and advanced technology like the Da Vinci robotic surgical system. As a result, patients spend less time in the hospital, recover faster, and get treated close to home. So there's no reason to puzzle over where you should get your surgical care. The answer is right here at IRMC.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
I'm with the voice of the IUP Crimson Hawks, Jack Benedict. And Jack, finally, you will be back in the booth broadcasting the Hawks. How good does that feel?
Oh, Mark, I'll tell you what, I can't wait. It is about time that I get back there.
And we'd like to invite your business to join our Hawks Booster Club.
That's right, back the best, the IUP Crimson Hawks, and help us sponsor the games for thousands of listeners on air and online. Check out the Crimson Hawks Sports Booster Plan, which is attached.